Testing.
Someone want to say the bracha?
Testing. Okay.
Someone has to say the bracha who wasn't here. I was here in the last 30 days. I'm assuming you mean that bracha, right?
Yeah, anyone who wasn't here should say it. And be mighty everybody.
Yeah. What? Yeah, come.
Here, it's here at
Right in the beginning.
Beginning? You see it? Yeah, is that fine?
All of them?
Yeah.
Torah the Noi, Elohim Melchadam, Asher Yotze Yisrael Baden, V'sein V'chokin, V'dom Chokin Yisrael Baden, V'ames Yisrael Baden, V'yoidea Mitzvah Chochem Baden, V'yosit L'achti Yisrael Baden, V'chato the Noi, Mechaya Mesim.
Amen. Not to give a Chaim Mason Matter yeah. Chal Chaim B'chesed Chaim Mason Rachum Rabin. So I'm going to Chaim Matter some Chaim Nos Shani Upper. Ich mag was mit dem Lach Mason Chaim Matzmech Yeshua. And Emanat Lach is Mason Makol Zanach Nechayovim. The Hoyda is the Chol Yachid Shimcha Godel Agibar Noidam. Ein Gerek Chadi Noilein Boil Mazeh. Beins Las Malkein Loil Machayo El Mabah. Efes Bildach Godel Maz Mashiach. When Doim Chama Schias HaMason. Kapitel Lamed Gimel. Danu tzadikim adayinu elasham navzila. Haydan mechina menevi lasor zamreloi. Shila shechodesh tivinagim sruah. Kiyoshu ramna chol masay b'munam. Oyev zdokom mishpat cheznoi malaretz. B'dvad noi shmaim nasu v'ruch piv kol tzvam. Koines geneit me yom noi zoisoin. Mois yirad noi kol aretz. Imeni yiguru kol yoshu yisayvel. Kuam v'yeyu tziv yamoid. Adayinu hebras as goy mein machshvei zamim. Atzaz noi loim tam machshvei zivil doy v'doy. Asher Yagoy Asher Doine Olav Ambagonak Loy. Bishmaim Ibn Noiraz Gaman Yodam. Conshiv Desh Gechal Kol Yosh Yoret. Ayois Yachad Liba Mamei Vin Kol Masayim. Ein Amelch Noish Bevchoil Gibel Inos Brokoyak. Shekas Sus Shua Bevchel Imalek. In Ein Ad Noy Rev Machal Chazdoi. Lahatzil. Memavis Navshem Chayoisam Berov. Navshenkas Ar Noy Zeng Beneinu. Kivay Yismach Lebeinu, Shem Kodsho V'Tochnu, Yichazach Adonai Yoleinu, Kasher Yichal Nalach, Michtam L'David, Shemreini Eikach Yisrach, Kapitel Tasayin, Amar Adonai Adonai Tov Zach V'Alecha, V'Kdosh V'Shor Tzheim V'Yavadi Yechav Tzibam, Yivat Zvoizim Achim Ahoru, Balaskan Skem Midam, Balaskan Shmoizim Asvasai, Adonai Mnos Cholkei, V'Chois Yatom Echaroli, Chavolim Noflu, Li Banim Mapinach Shavroloi, Abarkas no Yashu Yitzhani Ableilis Yisroni Kol Yoisoi. Shvisa Adon Neg Disamet Gimimin Valemoid. Lechein Samach Libi Vyoga Kvoid Absor Yishkan V'Etach. Klisazev Nafshel Shoy Lesit Chazit Kol Liris Shochas. Toidei no Echaim Soy Vismochas Espenecho. Nima Is Bemin Chonetzach Betel Yud Zayin. Twill David Shima Adonai Tzedek Akshiva Linos Azina Tlosi Beloi Sibse Mirma. Mevnecho Mishpati Yitzay. Enach Tzayin Meshorim. Libi Picato Lilo Zaftani Baltim Sazmaisi Bayabrapi. The Vulas Odom Midmas Visakani Shmati Orchos Poritz. At Toma Kashoy Vaganzaka Bal Namoito Fama Yanik Rasik Zaini Alta Zaka Lishmalam Rossi. Haplech Asdelko Mashiach Hoisim and Miskaim Minecho. Shemrain Gishim Asoyen Bitzech Neko Taseraini. If Nate Shom Zusha Duni Oibai Benefe Shakifo Loi. Alabama is arguably my double bagayos. So Shreina Tosavun of the name. She's a Tizor. It's a Yoinagari, so we drive really, I was starting. Come out, I come upon a clear about the Nashim and Oshan. Mims im Yad Kadinoi, Mims im Chel Kamakaim, and Swuna, and with them is Bivon and Ismail. Hani, the Tzedek Akzeb, Ezra Bahakits, and Second, quit line base. The Shloim Mailem is Bidakal and Melach Tain, it's Gospel and Melach. Yodin Amcha with Tzedek and Yaakov and Mishpat. Yisrael Shalom Lam and the voice of Zok, Ishvat in the Yam, Yashir and Yav Yidaki Oisha, Geruchim, Shomesh from the Elech, Doidim. Yet, Gamatel, guys, could be him Zazavaras. Little beyond Sadik, but I've shown Malvin Loyach. Yet, me Yamad Yam, and Menor Adam Sivaras. The fun of Yekritzim, Viva Bapa Yalakeku. Malchus Ashish, Vim, Mincha Yeshiva, Malchus was one. Yakrivu, Yishakulai Kamalachim, Kogoim Yabdu. Yatzel Abi Meshavei, Vani Vainoisaloi. Yoko is Al Dal Bavion, and Abshas of Yoim Yushia. The Toik Hakomas, the Ganapsham, you go in Oman Baino. The Hivit and Lamzov Shaw, Yismal Bad, the Thomas Kolyam of Kanu. If is a sword, Words, Broshonia Mirash, Bilbana Interior, Tzimir, Kaisa Words. Ishmael, Ilam, the Nesham, Machina, and Shemai, is broken by Kolgoyam. Yashru, Bachanoilam, and Israel, Islam, Lazavatoi. The Barshan Guidali Ilam. Imag was going to call it David Ben Yishoy, Kapitel Sadik Aleph. Yoishim says Elion. BTZEISACH Shada is the name of the Max Midas and I have to buy. We had Silk back Hakish with every voice. By Rosie has a clock, Tax of Taxes in his name. By Sim back at Loila. Mechais Yoiv Yoimam. The Debba Bible Yalak, God of Yoshua Tzeroyim. Yibin Zit Galab and Babin Nakalakala Yiko. Jagnak Sabbath Shmans of Sham Tiram. Gata Doi Noi Maxi, Elian Samtmanakam. Was in a good of Neglig, look at Sabbath Shmalka, the Hall Dracham, Akapaim is soon home. I think of Evan Aglacha, Alcalcas did like the Mexican Sanin. Give you Hajj tell you a great Yodish me. Can any name and I can say after you? Oh, the Hamas be you. But I was just Kapitel Kuf Dalit. Working after the Doina, don't go to me, I died to the Mashram. I died a Salmon, I to Shmaim Giri. I'm going to my name, Yosef. Asam Avim Rechuba, Yamelech Al Gampiruach. Oisa Melacha, Brucha is Mishaz Veshloya. Yosef had some air about him. I told him, I'm Gilbush Kasisai. Alam Yam Demoy, Garaska Nusan, and call it Amke Kapais, and Yalu made because of comes Satalam. Whoa, Sam to buy a boy, my Shuman Guys. I'm Shaleach, my name, and call him Bainarim, Elechu. Ishgo, Yashko, Kaise, Sodoi. Ish befrom Tzmayim, Alei my Vashmai Mishkan, Ben upon Mitnu Koil, Mazish God, Magazin Vim Sacha, Tisbaratz, Masmea Chotzil Behema, Beisel by the Sodom Hoizelach Monaretz, Vai Samach Levan Oish Latzel Ponov, Mishaman, the Lechem Levaban, so this bad say at the Ezel and Yashinatom, as a Sham Ziparim, Ganenu, Kasi the Broshim Beisa, all Magwaim Leelim, Sloim Axel Shwanem. Also, Yereach Lamayad Shem Hashad Mavaya. Dosh Hashem Yelayla Bandimas Kol Chaisor Akvim Shak Mlorev the Magish Melacham Tizach Hashem Shesayim Amnosam Yebotzum Yetz Adam Nefalai Vlavoidosay Adorev Marabu Masech Adoinoi Ucham Zizal Metzganecha Zayam Gdoil Rechav Yadayim Shem Remes Vei Mispar Chayz Kitanoisim Gdoil Shem Anish Yelechon Levyosan Zayzat L'Sachak Vayim Kula Melachas Velasach Mito Tidain Lahem Yilkoit and Tiblach Yotcha Yizvah Das Benech Velim Doizurucha Migvan Velafaram Yashuvam the Shalach Nechacha Yemerein Skadish Needam Yikwat Noi Loilam Yizvah Noi Masa Mavdol Tzvitirot Yishon Yishon Shil Devach Hazam and Iboidi Yav Siga Noi Chazvach Adonai Itam Chadoim in order to show my Dainam. Baruch Nafshes Adonai, hallelujah. Kapitel Kufla Machira Malais. Imam Hakim, Kerasich Adonai. Adonai Shem Bekoili, Diena Zakush, Kuz Kol Tachnun Agim. When is Rio Adonai Miyamai? Kim Chaslicha, Leman Devareim. We said don't give something like called now show them cast army my videos. But you that's Israel McCoy lava in Isaac. Cook your test always base. The May is Akanas Arachai. Chaim, no, it's Ches first, yeah? Chaim Baruch Mordechai. Ches. Ches, Chalki Gadam Adish Mazrecha. Chlis Ben Echav Chaleif Chaneini Secha. Chavti. Droch Veshiv Ragla Secha. Chashti Vleis Amata Lishma Mitzasecha. Chebe Shalom Yivduni Teros Chaloi Shachti. Chatzois Laila Akum Loidas Lach Al Shpish Letzgecha. Chaber Ani Lechol. Asher Ruchel Shoim Gdecha. Chas Chadai Mala Aretz. V'chechol Amdeinu. Yud. Yedecha Suni V'chaynuni Avineinu V'tzecha. Yedecha Iruni V'izmacho Kedvachi Yecholti. Yidadi G'nai Gitzadik Mishlecha Emuna Nisisonim. Ina Chatzcha Nachmeini G'mrazcha L'chayadecha. Yevuni Achmecha V'echa K'zoscha Shashuai. Yivoishu Zeidim. Sheke Yivsuni Ani Osiach V'glecha. V'shiv L'echa V'ayden Zecha. Yidi V'zamankecha L'man La Yei V'ayshut. Yedecha Suni Avineinu V'tzecha. Yedecha Iruni V'izmacho Kedvachi Yecholti. Yidadi G'nai Gitzadik Mishlecha Emuna Nisisonim. Ina Chatzcha Nachmeini. Das auf der Yevun nach Mecha Echek Zoska Shashuai. Yivoishu Zaidik B'Shaka V'Sun Ani Yosef V'Kecha. Shuv V'Lecha V'Lecha Zacham. Yili V'Samem. V'Kecha L'Malo Yevosh Mem. Mo'avdi To'esach Kol Yom Yisachasi. Mo'ivai D'Chakmein V'Zach V'Loylam Yilim. V'Kamlavdi Eskat V'Zachas Yilim. V'Skoinim Esvayna G'Decha Natzartim. V'Kolach Rakadis Raklam Eshmet V'Racham. V'Nishv'Techa L'Isarti Ki'ata Yirasani. Manim Nesu L'Chikim Nesu V'Nashvim. G'Dechas Vayin Al-Kain S'Neisi Kolach Shakit Beis. V'Mei Zaka Nara Sarach Koylish Mev'Kecha. V'Chalim V'Divshik Al-Shvim Tzacham. V'Libi Tzivat V'Zach L'man Lo Yektelach. V'Chata Adino Ilamdeinu Kecha. V'Zos V'Nidum Al-Kol Shv'Decha. V'Dechas Zach Zostik Al-Kol Hain. G'Dechas Sik V'Evito Zecha. V'Kecha Ishtasha Lo Yeshkach. The Miracle Reish. Roy Rayon Yotzaining. That's a shot. The river Vigo line. The Matzevah. The Hakomas Mishon Yeshua. Rabbi Brunner the Fai. The son of Zachariah Natis. He's making us go to Hashmas Kolai Shamarum. Rei Ayagov that on the Gazakayani. Roish the Baruch Hamas. Olaylam Kol Mishpat Skakavot. The Brunner has that father, and he knows just coming a second. And I be dubbing back to the Acham. Atasim Vidvaremes. At my Kushtacha, you called the measurement also coming to Elam. It's Halcha, Vilchava, Kiz, Utecha Drashti. And I will say, Connect Malachim Layevai. Stajmits Sacha Shafti. As the Kalmits Sacha. Asher Abdi, Vasim Kakov. Calls all the shots can have shit walking a cold thing. Call the Aina, the Masevah, Lamer, Mosai, the Kakmaini. The Yisi, Ganai, the Gidan, Kama Yamav, the Hakomas, Mishpat, Corley, Zaydim, Sikhos, Asher, Zaka, Muna. Shaker is one Azarin. Kamad Gilan Varas, Vanilla is Abdul Kaza, Kayani. Veshmira Speaker Mordechai Mem. Mo after the Zakoyam Zakos, I went to main with Zakop, Loyal Milim, Kolande. It's called Gizaka Zikhali. It's kind of going on. Give Gaka Nasartim, Kolera Crop, it's Ragla and Manashra Derecham. It's Ragala Sarti. Kata Kharisani, my name is going on. Okay, so let's go. Reish. Rei on ye, Kalsenga Solishkakti. Liver Galani, Lanazain, Ragai. Mishoim, Shua, Gagala, Hitarashu. I want to have a Ramna, Mazakala in a TC. Risi, Vaiknas Gata, Shmaskala, Shamaru. Rei, Gagaka, that I know as a Kayan, Raja Hamas. Loyal Commission, Dalit. Dov kol ben nafshi yoim v'lech dov kazvat v'neini azon dov v'lech v'neini zivun zecha dov nafshi midoi v'lech dov sheneisi Hazuman v'tazon and recommend v'chati v'shtach v'isi V'ak d'menzecha doin ad v'shein ech v'zecha arutz k'hlach avlibi Chav Kosel Shoskan Abshel Rocky Holdi Kol Einai Mesaka Leima Masait nach Meini He's gonna do it as English Bakti Coming with Hakomas Nazareth Harley Zaydim because I shall like a sacro Kob it's a Zaka Muna Shakat when it's in Gmat Get in Aini Veshmira Zakuyut Yudecha Suni, Kainun Avinain of the Zaka, Rekidun is Malka Kalti. Idati Adoina, you could say Mishudecha Muna Nisani, in a Kazakh Mani was on the Deca, Yunak Malka Exasa Shuai. If I should say them Geshaka Suni and Yazir Gaka, Yoshuv Leaga the Zaka, Ili Samuel Gaka, the man Ben, base. B'mei Yizaka Nades Archai Ishmael Zerecha Chalim Ishmael Zerecha Zerecha Melech V'chat Adino Amdei Kikacha Yisrael Sepalta Gav Ishmael Zerecha Derel Zerecha Zerecha Goin V'dechas Boinon Abita Zerecha Zerecha Shtar Sholo Yeshkach Zerecha Nun Nail the ugly, the Vakwairi, Swasi. Ishbati Vakaim Lishman Shazak, and Anesat Moit. I don't know Kayani, the Vakon, the Noi, Shalan, and Ashi Happy Summit. Don't so shock, the Nosan Sean Backley, Makakala, so easy. The Kal the Zakalalam Gazan, a Tisili with Asas Kaka, I'll make a dub Dalit. The going up and up going back. That's why we're saying them there's a collection of Spanish in Saka. Though Banapshi Mituga, coming to the because there's many. It's also a name. The common because which was the fact that Saka don't have to shine there. It's a Saka Rutska, I can live above. Uni Kazaka Dinoi. Yosra, Mezach, when I have double, because about that's a bit my emes, can you called the Veshmet, Scott, Amit Loylam, as how could cover give Nako the Roshi, and Zako. They can look at me like Yaish. Shavan Zakashaf, the Vezakapam to Sako, Ashraf, the Vesika, Bagaka, Dalit. Dov Galov and Nafshi came back to Dog and Dog name as Sikum Saka. Dov and Nafshi to go. Gaimani good Baraka. Dog Shaka Mani Diena. Yakamuna Magardi. We see the Dov Galam. The fact is that I know. I'll just say, Sachev Levi Oisis Neshama. The ugly, the Rekoin is Vasi, the Shvadu Game Nishma Zekom. The Nasi Atma Oid, the Donor Hang the Reknis, the Saint Adonai, so then I'm sure Kavi Summons also Shakti. Now the Sean Backley McDuckle Sisi, and Kaldu Sakal Island suddenly behind her. The Tisi without Sakal Island Aikab Shin. Son with the Puna Kina, the dog about Libby. So now I'm so much shoulder up. Shakas and Asia save us also of the Chevy and the Amish was like a shoulder of Zaka the main on the mixture. Sibati the Shas I don't know Zaka Sisi. Shamanam Shed Zaka have in my Shmaz Gazaka in the Saka. Ki Kozaka and Agdaka Mem after Zaka Yam is a Kosi. Maybe the main is Zaka Lani leaving call. Malam is Galdi. The Saka Sikali. Misgaina is one with Dacha, the Sart, the Kalakas, Raklip, is the Mashaka. Mishbetacha, Lysarti, Geata, Hey, the son, man, one second, I should be. That's when I'll case and I see the lawyer shock a hey. I didn't know that what's I mean, any events of the Saka was remember Kalei. When the came is the Saka, not the Saka, but I mean, when I saw. Okay, I'm not going to show you the Saka. Have a posse, I show you go to the and to have the Gedaka, this goes like Hayeni. Say Kaddish. Kaddish Yosin. Amen. Amen. Benuchen noch eine Mischwel Joine Tagskamp genommen. Normales Gleich mit heute gesagt Kia. Ihnen es hier Mishon Mbrier Mikhlut Samais Paris Shamais. I hope special acrobacy Yasha. The Khamna Khanin of Neshoykhan Maina. Kalkal Khayal Maba Sham Tay Diras Mafitzas. Just never shall shame hat toy. Chaim Borg Mordechai ben David. This time in Alma Dain Kusal Hamar the Shmaya. The Aram Melch Malcham Lachem Rachma Bacham Masai. Yirachim Olav. Yochos Yachmal Olav. Yishmo is Mal Yitzan Laat. Melch Malcham Lachem. Koy Chasoda Vagdoilim Bamruvim. Asrei Vitzet Nova Vseisa Holy Laxis Benoim Adnoi. The Vak Bechola Kaitse Minyam Ideyu. Menachal Adonam Yishkeyu Yitzar Tzachayim Mishmasai. And eight Koyd Nachosai. Adoinu Nachlosai. Yilab El Bashalom Bamishkova Yisholim B'Tziv Yovasholok No Kamishpoisam. Hoyach L'choycha Hu Chol Shoych Na'am Yisrael Yivachal Rak Maslichois. And the Chometz Yeshua Chen Yirotz V'Noimer Amen. Bilam Avazanetzach Machal Adon Elem Dim Mal Koretz Kadonai Tiber. Yim Esechon Avos Yikum and Titzur Ani Shoych Ma'ofer. Taloiris Tzalech Averetz from Tabe Benkach on a Mispalelem. Yinach Mechem Esgalgan Hokel Dim Nachayovim. Seidel Ron the Toim Chol Shoych Adim Shdoinim B'Laila Poishim. V'yam Mishkisam Aleim Negoshim. Urach Ma'avam Le'ashkel Din Ishma Laila. V'yevlosh Rabbi B'Din Hashem Kol Yolo V'Hakomas B'Din Shlishi. Yosef Kol Oynish V'Holot Kol Adino Yeshua. Amelach Anein Renkerein Animam B'Men Shlema. Shetir Tchis Amesim. V'Eis Shetal Rotzim Eis Aboyris B'Shmoi. V'Yis'ala Zichroi La'ad L'Nezach Sokin Rotzim Achab L'Layin Hashomois. Shetipkoid Berachmim Es Nishmas Chaim Borach Mordechai Ben David. Shetzav Matzevah Al Kurosai. Eida Galazeh, Eida Matzevah, K'lei Shikach Zichroi V'lei Mokash Shmoim Yisrael, V'eben Azois Asher Samna Matzevah, Eis Alma Zecholim, V'goy V'ez Hashonim, V'shalu Bonim Matzi and Laz Ben Yabonim. Yom Ra'an She'ir Az Geinim Kevi Yisraeli, Yichon Chushleima, Yishal Yika Az Moisav, Yovish Olam Dinukam Az Moisav, Oy Tachayenu Eila Tzomais, Yeshir V'lom Ez Mechil Bomais, V'ata Adonai Lo Imitation V'sak Doir V'doir, Achim Ben Esecho, Would someone read the Matzevah? Could someone read the Matzevah?
When Nitman, Rab Chaim Baruch Mordechai ben Reb Baruch Diena, Rab Pali Materis Mishpachtoi, Osak ben Tzarchid Tzibur ben Muna ben Savdei Merayoso be'Achit mi Beis Hoirav ben Milano avar beSimcha leKach Roimi lekayim ben Esel leMishne Shnois Hazam hayu me'amachzikim Beitz Chaim ben Montre Lacham Milchento Shel Torah ba'adrachos Talmidei Chachamim Kirvei Kvod Shamayim b'chol Mekomos V'Shavot V'Kirei V'Lobovos Rabim V'Hashem U'Karaso Kilois Bologna Parma Montreal ve'Ottawa Parnes v'Meleches HaRefua Aimer Ki Ani Hashem Rofecha Haya Lo L'Siyua Yimei Zikna Haya Toraso Noso V'Zacha L'Birchas Oidi Nuven B'Seva Hem Midoiris Yisharim U'Miborachim Ne'emonim L'Hashem Yisborach U'Torasa Akdosha Nifter B'Seva Tova V'Shem Tov Shabbos Kodesh Chosh Av Tovshin Pei Aleph Nafshe Torah B'Tzorach.
We gathered together for the Hakomas Matzevah, for the Choshva Chaim Baruch Mordechai ben David Olav Sholem, Dr. Diena, who we all knew so personally, who was a person, wherever he went, he was a person who got involved in Torah and Avodah and Gemilas Chasodim, the three Amudim that the Olam is Oimad. And he was never a person who was lazy. When it came to do things, he was active in every way. If it was in Milano, and then later in Montreal and in Ottawa, and I know speak to people from Ottawa, what he did to Ottawa, he changed the whole face of Ottawa. Then he came to Toronto, was involved in Yisrael, involved, and his wife was also involved in Yisrael, involved, and wherever he went in the shuls and all the circuit tzibur, he was a person. A person comes to this world and then goes up to Shemayim, and the Rebbe Shem asks, "Did you do your shlichus? Did you do what you had to do?" We can be made that Chaim Baruch Mordechai did his shlichus. He did his shlichus wherever he went. He was a Eved Hashem, whatever the Mesiras Nefesh that he did for in Torah, first himself learning Torah. A person, one of the objective in life is to work on the person himself with his Torah and his Avodah and Gemilas Chasodim. Torah. He loved learning. He loved learning. I mean, the biggest honor he had is always hearing a shuk Torah, learning. Whenever you spoke to him, that was his biggest honor. And you could see that children, you could fool everybody except for your own children. You see, Baruch Hashem, he was Zoicha. His children, they love the dad for learning. They love the dad for Torah. It continues because if a father loves Torah and loves learning Torah and loves the children continue with that, that's the biggest to emulate a father, to see how a father loved learning. And you see how the sons Danny and Mani and the whole mishpacha, the Janaus mishpacha, but you see how the love of learning Torah by them, biggest hanor they could have is learning Torah and avodah, the davening wherever he went, he made sure, and keeping the Messiah of the Italian. Last week was the Lula from Ramam Pano, one of the Gdoile Italia, the Gdoile, and we know all the Gdoile Rishonim from Italia, and he made sure to keep the nusach and go with the derech that he saw from his parents, and the same thing during the Muhammad. It was my nefesh to save people. Gemilas Chasodim starts from home. Look how he took care of his wife's family, his own family, brothers, sisters, brothers-in-law, sister-in-law. It was all one. You see who a person is from how he does for other people, And the biggest thing is, wherever you go, to remember, Rablacham Soivis Horazen, this week's parsha. They went the Masevah Haseir Yom Rabim Haseir is the Golus Edom, which is Haseir. We're going so long. We're almost 100 years in this big Golus of Edom. So the Rebbe Shem, so the Medrash says, Rablacham Soivis Horazen. This har, this big Sutton, this har Seir, the Golus of Edom. Pnulacham Tzefoino. So the Medrash says, if it comes to you, Haspin Eschem, go hide yourself. Amra Yisrael, you tell them Haspin Eschem b'Torah. Hide yourself in Torah. If you go and wherever you go, Haspin Eschem b'Torah, go and hide yourself wherever you go. Learn Torah. Do the mitzvahs of Torah. Don't learn from other people. Like the Mephoshim bring down in the beginning of the parsha, it says Be'ever Yarden, the Hoil Moshe Be'eres Torah Azois. So it says they said the Torah b'shivim loshen to teach us wherever you go in any nation you are. If you're in Italy, you're in Canada, wherever you are in America, wherever you are, Torah is wherever you are. The only way you could exist is with Torah, learning Torah, keeping mitzvahs. And he was a real example of that. Somebody who, the Mesiras Nefesh for Torah, he together with his wife, the love of learning Torah, the love of doing mitzvahs, the love of making sure the community keeps Torah and mitzvahs. And that's what his life was all about. Where do you see it? Yadativ, the Rebbe says, I love Avraham Avinu, Mani Diena as one of his base Achrav, the Shomra Derech Hashem Lasas Loka Mishpat. You see how you give over to your children. You give over, that's when you leave this world. You leave your children. You leave Avraham Avinu Adam, this whole life, you should have a child, a bain, to continue and perpetuate his teachings. Baruch Hashem, you could say Dr. Diena Chaim Baruch Mordechai, Mani Savas Banavas BTZEISACH. He really left the family, Danny's family and Manny's family and Ms. Janowski and her family, and he taught them all. Each one of them is involved in community things and everything that has to be done for Torah. Anything has to be done for Tefillah. Anything has to be done for Chesed. Go out of the way. Each one of them goes out of the way to do the right thing and to do the justice thing. And that's how you see what the person is. Mordechai left over a heritage, a beautiful heritage. Grandchildren, Rosh Hashiva's grandchildren, harving in Torah, doing mitzvahs, chesed. Mordechai goes in Shemayim, he sees over there, Baruch Hashem, that all his Mesiras Nefesh that he had for Torah and avoiding Matzevah is continuing, and it's perpetuating his ways, keeping his ways forever. And this is Maha Adam. The whole purpose of Adam in this world is while they're alive, to do these three things, the Amudei Olam, and make sure that man actually loves, because he knows that Avraham Avinu is going to teach his children. Chaim Baruch Mordechai taught his children the right way. It's unbelievable. Every one of his children continue his derech, derech of Mesiras Nefesh Torah, derech of loving Torah, derech of loving avodah, the tefillah, and derech of loving to do chesed, mamish, the unbelievable chesed that they do. The Rebbe should help. That's his neshama, which is shining up in Shemayim. It's shining up in Shemayim for everything he did from the beginning of his life. Everything and all the Torah and especially the Milas Chasodim. It says, the Torah Shlomo says that the end of this Golus will come. Chosmin b'Abraham, Chosmin b'Chesed, the Chesed, unbelievable Chesed that he did and that his children do. Rabbi should help that b'schus this which we that could see that the Geula should come b'meher b'yameinu. I mean, the purpose of Matzevah, it's a little synopsis of what the person lived. It's a little synopsis when children and grandchildren should come and they see what the grandfather was to learn from him. And really, the children see their own parents. They see Dr. Diena and his wife and the children, the way the children, Danny and Manny and Mrs. Janowski, how they are. And one should help that this which is to see the Geula and Chis HaMesim, B'meher b'yameinu, Amen.
The same day as the yard site of my father. And in fact, in Sefer Halacha, it's referred to as the Tais Tzadikim. They're even individuals who fast, even though it's Flesh Chodesh, but it has a special status without any doubt. And the question is why? We know other people, we know other great Tzadikim, Gedolim, were nifter, but it's not looked at exactly in the same way. Rav Pinkus writes in a sikh of his that Aaron had a certain midah that was very unique. And that was that he brought shalom ben Adam le'ishtoi, ben Adam le'chaberoi, and he was very, 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 very careful about that midah. And Mameli, he says, when he was nifter, it was a tsar l'doiris, a person who makes peace, a person who makes shalom, a person who helps families. When he's nifter, its taka creates a tremendous void, and it makes a tzara l'doiris. He said, perhaps that's the reason why Aaron HaKohen had this special status, and why he's referred to as the individual on whose basis we have the Tainus Tzadikim, b'chule b'chule. He also says, if you notice, this is when this Mana Churban begins. Will is complete miyut, not complete miyut, but Lamaisa, this Mishnitnas Adu begins on the day of his death. And mainly it's probably because he says that Sinas Chinam was what led to the Churban Abayis, and the Mele, when he created such a beautiful, peaceful, and harmonious environment, this was with his death. This is symbolically when of when the Churban, the Avelos for the Churban starts. When we started to look at, my brother and I, to make the Matzevah, what exactly to write in it, I was personally thinking all along, this is the Keshu to Aaron HaKohen. Obviously, Aaron HaKohen, Tzaddik, a Gadol, a Malach, but you say, what is the dimion? What is the comparison? And when we were looking at it, I added on 3 words onto the Matzevah, and that was B'hadrochos Talmidei Chachamim. You see, my father spent a great deal of his life fighting for Torah. He was in places where he was a yachid, whether it was Italy, whether it was Montreal, Ottawa, Montreal. In the Oilam he was one of the yachidim. And he fought tremendously for Klal Yisrael, for Yiddishkeit. And the Maaseh, it would seem to be a stira. It seemed to be a stira to the midah of Aaron Oyev Shalom Bereid of Shalom. But of course, we only have to look in the past parsha to see Pinchas, who was given a bris. He couldn't even given any bris. Why did he have to give bris Shalom? It seems pomfakert. This was the first who did an act of war, and yet the Eivishter gives him a bris Shalom. Because we know that when we do what's right and we fight for Torah, that's the biggest Shalom. The fallacy that this is milchama, people who want to fight, this is not true. The Maaseh, the Iker, is that once you do things the Eibishter wants, and even if it leads, chas v'sholom, to a fight, or to a discussion, or to an argument, this is the greatest shalom. My father, all through his life, whatever he did, he would pick up the phone, whether for a period of time it was Rabbi Hirschsprung, Zatzal, whether for a period of time it was Rabbi Friedler Zatzal. I remember one time, if not mistaken, he came here. I wasn't here, but he came to Toronto to bring my son, to bring my brother to Yeshivas Ner Yisrael. And he went to eat in a restaurant. There was a restaurant called Sovas, and he went in there, and there was a meeting of the Bad Rabbanim of Toronto going on. And my father at that time was involved in the battle in Ottawa to block the Reform and Conservative from entering the Bad Ha'ir. And of course, it was a very difficult fight because the Ha'inam were of the same ideology, and the Gvirim were the same ideology. Even the 2, 3 from Gvirim told them, you can fight the battle, but you're fighting it on your own. Lamaisa, for 2 years, he kept them out. But he sat there at the meeting, my brother told me, and he discussed how to do, what to do. And this was the Iker by him. By him, the Iker was the Milchemto Shel Torah to be done in a way to keep things al pi derech Yisrael Saba. But there was one proviso to it, and there's a story that I'm reminded of myself. One time here in Toronto, a certain newspaper wrote an article or a letter to the editor against the Mord Asher of our Stadt, and it was very, very strong attack. So we decided that we were going to respond, but there was a Rosh Yeshiva and a Rav that I had to go to, and I would show them what I wrote, and they would decide. So I went to the Rosh Yeshiva, I wrote the first draft, I went to the Rosh Yeshiva, and the Rosh Yeshiva looked at it, and he said, I want to tell you a story. He said, I want to tell you that when I was in Yeshiva, my Rosh Yeshiva Rebellia, I guess I'm sort of saying who am I talking about, Rebellia was writing a letter, the Gabi and Indian that was going on. What was the Indian? There was the Rabbi Rashi. And this Rabbi Rashi did something very, very terrible. And the Gedolei Yisrael in America spoke very strongly against it. So there was an attack that came against the Gedolei Yisrael, and the Rebellia Sheh was writing a defense. And I'm not sure exactly what exactly happened, but at one point, Rashiva said to him, you're writing a letter against the Rabbi Rashi. And the Rebellia said to him, what do you think? The Rabbi Rashi is about Plukta, the Moshe of Yaakov? Not about Plukta or Moshe of Yaakov. I'm writing about the Indian. I'm not writing about the person. So I went back home and I rewrote the letter. I actually left one thing in at the end. So I brought back to the Yeshiva and he looked at it and he said, okay, good. And I was by the door and he said to me, by the way, I noticed the last line that you left in, but I didn't correct it. One thing we'll let you write. But the Maaseh, the proviso being that whatever you do has to be done in a way that it's not personal attacks and this, but it has to be done legabe the Indian, not legabe the individual. And that's what I saw from my father too. My father quite often had certain, especially in Ottawa, in the group we were growing up, big machlekes with a lot of people on many inyanim, which were tied to Yiddishkeit, but at the end, it never was personal. They came to the Simchas. He always invited them. It never turned into a personal thing. But it was always l'shem Shemayim. V'lo amavis lanetzach, mach Hashem ekim dima mi'al kofar.
Manny's finished?
Yeah.
Manny? So the children should go to the Matzevah, put the left hand on the Matzevah, and say the psukim of Lechacha. Put your left hand on the Matzevah.
You the right.
The left hand. The left hand.
Your left. You're right.
Even if you always put a left hand. Left hand is connected to the leg. It's the heart. Even if you're a lefty, the left hand is connected to the leg. You say the Pavinachacha Adonai Tamid, V'izvias V'tzachois Nafshecha, V'tzmesecha Yachlitz, V'yisa Kegan Rabbe, K'maytzamayim Asheloi Chaz V'meimav, V'van M'chachar V'soilam, Maizei Doir V'doir T'kaimen, V'koyre L'cha Goyder Peretz, V'shoiv V'nesivais L'shoves, Tishka B'sholayim, V'tunog B'sholayim, Adboi Menachem Mashmiya Sholayim. You want to put a rocket, you have to put on just a minute. Gamal Rachman.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Es nishmas Chaim Baruch Mordechai ben David Sholach Liadamai Beganei Yedem Behei Menuchasai Achein Baal Harachamim Yastireya B'seisek Nachav Li'aylamim Yitzray B'tzray Chaim Es Nishmasai Adonai hu nachalosai Yanuach b'shalayim al mishkavai v'noi marumai.
Amen.
On behalf of the family, thank you to the Rav, thank you to everybody who tuned in. There will be a recording of it. If you know any family member who didn't have an opportunity to hear it or to see it. Thank you very much.
No, not.
Well, I saw